What's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? Welcome to tonight's stream where I give 10 bold predictions for 2022. Let's get to it. And what is going on, baseball fans? Hello. What is going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday to everyone out there. Happy Tuesday night. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone is doing rather fine on this Tuesday evening. I am back to work this week, and I am already really tired. But we got to keep it going here. I feel like I haven't streamed in a few days. I feel like it's been... when was the last time I streamed? I don't even know. But it's the new year. I hope everyone is having a good start to their 2022. How many days are we into it? What, 4 days now? So hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's had a good start to their 2022. In this stream tonight, I'm going to give you 10 bold predictions because, I mean, I'm just awful at predictions, so why not? Let's just throw some more predictions out there. They're probably all going to be wrong. None of them are going to come true, but predictions are fun, and I like doing them. So, I already know. I see a few of you in the chat already. You guys have some predictions of your own. None of these predictions tonight, they're not going to be who's going to win the World Series, who's going to win divisions, even who's going to win MVPs. We don't really know what all these teams look like as of right now. So there's really no way to give any kind of predictions on division winners or, World Series winners at this point. But I do have 10 where, hey, maybe they could come true. We'll have to wait and see. But a lot of familiar faces in the chat I am seeing. Also, everyone, I had the pleasure of having a conversation yesterday with Foolish Baseball, in my opinion, the GOAT of baseball YouTube channels. I think he is the absolute best, and it was an absolute pleasure to be able to have a conversation with him yesterday. If you have not seen the conversation between me and Bailey of Foolish Baseball, please go watch it. It's very, very informative. I found that to be one of the more interesting conversations that I've had in general ever. I really enjoyed it. Please, I really think you'll all enjoy it. Go take a watch later on after tonight's stream or whenever you can. And Foolish Baseball, again, if you're out there, if you're watching, thank you for taking the time to have that conversation with me yesterday. Absolute pleasure. Really appreciate that. But let's get to the stream tonight. Before I do get started, as always, if anyone is new, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 20K by opening day. We've been getting some new subscribers lately on the channel. We've been having some traffic coming on through. I've had a couple of videos that have been doing pretty good. It's getting some attention here on the channel, which is a nice thing, because, hey, times are slow. Times are lonely and cold right now because of this lockout. So if anyone else is new, please consider subscribing so you can help us get to 20K by opening day. So also, everyone, please, if you can, right now, take that little finger of yours and please just hit that like button for me right now. Hit the bell notifications so you get notified of all my streams and any uploads. And hey, share the videos, share the streams. Also, if you can, please share the Foolish Baseball interview. Again, that was a lot of fun. So if anyone else can share it out there, that would be fantastic. But let's get to it, everyone. We're going to get to some predictions here. Again, no division winners, no World Series winners, not even any predictions for MVP. I mean, I guess maybe one of them, maybe you could say, could be an MVP prediction. didn't word it like that, but I guess maybe you could look at it like that. I do have one prediction in here about the playoffs, about one team for the playoffs, so maybe I'll bend the rules just a little bit. Not necessarily saying they're going to win the whole thing or anything, but stay tuned for that one. That'll come later on in these predictions. So let's just get to it here. We're going to... Oh, Luke22 has become a member of the channel. Luke22, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate that. Go on to the community tab on my channel, and if you scroll down, you'll find the members. You'll find a members only post, and you'll find a link to the Discord, my friend. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. So I'm going to start off here. I mean, hey, let's just get this one out of the way. Let's have a prediction for the MLB lockout. Hopefully, this ends soon. But my prediction for the MLB lockout is it ends on February 7th. February 7th, that is just a little over a month away. Maybe I'm being a little optimistic here, but February 7th, that is a Monday. I believe that is 1 week before Pitchers and Catchers report. So I'm hoping by that time, 1 week prior to Pitchers and Catchers reporting, they get this resolved. They get this figured out. That way, hey, these guys in free agency, it gives them about, a good 3 weeks, a month to be able to figure out where they're going to be playing. To be honest with you, the sooner this lockout ends, the better it is going to be for everyone. So the latest news with the lockout is it's not really close to ending. Supposedly, there's no talks scheduled as of right now. Earlier reports did say that the lockout, they were probably going to resume talks in January. We're going to have to wait and see. Someone's going to have to bug here eventually. Hey, they don't want to afford missing any of the regular season. That's just going to be a terrible look for the game of baseball. I feel like I'm hoping February 7th, the day that I'm predicting that this lockout ends, I'm hoping that is when it ends. It definitely could go beyond that. It definitely could even go, maybe right before March. Maybe spring training gets pushed back a little bit. Maybe even the regular season does end up getting pushed back a little bit. I don't think, if I were to make a prediction, I don't think we're going to lose any regular season time. I think if anything, they just push back the season a little bit, even if that ends up just being like a week or so. I think we still have a full 162 game season. We'll just have to wait and see what ends up happening, but that's my prediction is February 7th. But it's not good to be, reading something like this. MLB lockout not close to ending, no talks scheduled. Well, they're going to have to come up with some talks sooner or later because we got to get the ball rolling on this one. So let me know in the chat, everyone, where do you think? Oh, I'm seeing a super chat that should be popping up here shortly. Let me know, what do you think in the chat? When do you think this lockout is going to end? I'm looking for some predictions in the chat. Oh, there's that super chat from Conman752. Orioles bold predictions. They get to or even surpass 70 wins. Adley, Grayson, and DL make their debuts during the season. Adley challenges for Rookie of the Year. And the most bold, I'm totally wrong, and the O's win 60 games max. I mean, I think the Orioles can end up... The Orioles are always like, this pesky team. I think they could end up being, maybe, I think definitely it could be a 70-win team. I think they got some talent in that farm system coming up, like you mentioned. I definitely could see that happening. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening. Conman752, a $20 super chat. I want to thank you, my friend, for the $20 super chat. You are awesome. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that. And Nahawand, I see that you have become a member. I want to thank you for that, my friend. Nahawan, thank you. One of our moderators. Thank you for becoming a member of the channel, my friend. Thank you so much. Alrighty, let's get to a couple of free agents. I'm not going to go over all the free agents right now. I'm not even going to say where... I got 2 free agent predictions coming up here for numbers 9 and 8. I'm not even going to say what team they're going to land on. I'm just going to kind of maybe give you a prediction on you'll just see. For my next prediction, let's talk a little Trevor Story here. I think Trevor Story I think he is going to end up signing a 1-year deal. I think Trevor Story, he is one of the more premier shortstops on the market. I feel like the market is just not really going to come around for Trevor Story in terms of a long-term contract. I think he just didn't have the best year last year in terms of just the numbers. The health seemed to be a little down last year. There were reports on the elbow possibly having some issues last year, which is why he was having some bad throws. But last year, it wasn't the worst offensive season. He hit .251. He had 24 home runs, 75 RBIs. He actually had 20 stolen bases as well. But the on-base was a little lower than what we're used to seeing with Trevor Story. The slugging was okay at .471. He still had a pretty solid .801 OPS. However, you'd like to see the batting average come up a little bit. You'd like to see the on-base come up a little bit. I think Trevor Story, I think he was probably working through a couple of things last year where he probably wasn't at his best. For me personally, I think Trevor Story is going to end up with a 1-year deal. I think teams are going to, I think they would be more willing to give him like a 1-year, maybe $20-25 million deal. Say, hey, show us what you can do. And for Trevor Story, that will be a chance for him to really establish himself again and just take that Marcus Semien route, where Marcus Semien, he took a 1-year deal with the Blue Jays, and look at the massive deal that he got this year with the Texas Rangers. 7 years, $175 million. And Marcus Semien, 31 years old when he signed this contract. Story is going to be even younger than that. So I could definitely see Trevor Story going this route. And just the shortstop market, it's not the best at the moment. I definitely could see Trevor Story signing with a team that, could use a shortstop, but also doesn't want to go long term. Where if you like, for instance, the Chicago Cubs, I wonder if the Chicago Cubs could end up being a team for Trevor Story, where reports are out there that Carlos Correa, the Cubs, they love Carlos Correa. They really want to bring him in. They're okay with the money for a Carlos Correa, but they don't want to go the years for him. They don't want to go 10 years, according to reports. Could maybe you sign Trevor Story to a short-term deal? If it ends up not being what I'm thinking, a 1-year deal, maybe you could sign him up for a 2 or 3 year deal, maybe, a 2-year deal with an option, something like that. Maybe he could be a fit for the Cubs. The Red Sox, he's been tied in with the Red Sox. He's also been tied in with the Astros. Could you maybe see one of those two teams? I still wonder if the Angels, they're a bit of a dark horse team out there. They could definitely use a shortstop. And to me personally, I think the Angels really need to improve on the defensive shortstop. They did not have good defensive production from that position last year. They definitely need pitching. I agree with that. Absolutely. But I still think they need to shore up the defense, especially in that infield. You could move David Fletcher over to short, I guess, and but I don't know. To me, I think Story could make some sense. I think for the Angels, you already got a lot of big contracts on that team already. Do you want to, add a big-time contract like Carlos Correa? Probably not. They got to focus on other things. I don't think they need to be really signing an expensive guy like Correa. I don't think that's money well spent. They have the money to spend, but I don't think that's the best way to do it. But maybe a short-term deal like Trevor Story would be good for the Angels. But yeah, I think Story, to me, I think he goes the Marcus Semien route. I think he ends up taking a 1-year deal, goes back out onto the market next year. And I think he could end up being a really good piece for a team this year that's trying to compete. I think for the Red Sox, he would make a ton of sense. You could honestly, if his arm is okay for the throws, he has the range. That's not the issue. The issue was his throws were a bit inconsistent last year. I think for the Red Sox, if you bring him in, you could put him at short, have Xander Bogaerts move over to second, or keep Xander at short, and then you could have Trevor Story at second. I think Story would be a great fit, more of a pull hitter, would work well with the Green Monster. I think that would be a really nice fit overall. But and then the Astros, if they don't end up bringing back Correa and they don't think Jeremy Pena is quite ready, Trevor Story could be a nice fit as well. And the Astros, according to the reports that we've seen over the last few months, I think the biggest offer they've given Carlos Correa in terms of years was 6 years. Maybe they feel like Trevor Story he would work out more in that range in terms of length on a contract. So Trevor Story, I'm going to predict a 1-year deal, goes back out onto the market next year. Next prediction. I'm already talking about shortstops here. I've already mentioned Carlos Correa. Here is my prediction for Carlos Correa. I've been sitting on this one, all day. I've been thinking, in the beginning, I thought the Detroit Tigers were the absolute perfect fit for Carlos Correa. I thought it just made a lot of sense. I thought the Tigers, they had the money to spend. To me, that was a guy you could have locked up for a long time, getting back together with his old manager, AJ Hinch. I thought it just made a lot of sense. And then they ended up offering 10 years, $275 million. He wanted more. Tigers didn't want to go that much. They ended up going with Javier Baez. Could he possibly still go to the Tigers and they could do the Texas Rangers thing, what they did with Semien and Seager? Sure. I don't know. Probably not. The more I think about it, I don't know. The Tigers, I don't know. Probably not. I'm not seeing it. But still possible. With Carlos Correa, I'm thinking here, you got teams out there where you've been linked. The Chicago Cubs have been the hot one lately, but the reports are with the Chicago Cubs is that they don't want to go that long on a contract. They're thinking more maybe 7 years, according to the reports, where they're okay with giving him $30 million per year, but they don't want to go 10 years. Where a team like the Yankees, that makes sense on paper. With the Yankees, though, you have a couple of young shortstops in your system, and you have Aaron Judge becoming a free agent soon. Is that where you would rather spend your money? It's going to be really interesting with Carlos Correa. I already mentioned the Angels. I think with the Angels, you could. I think that he would improve your team, but is that where you want to be spending your money? Should maybe you focus more on grabbing some more pitching that's out there? I think that's going to be money better well spent for this year for the Angels. So the Dodgers have been linked with Carlos Correa, but I don't know. You got Trey Turner there. To me, I don't know. I think at this point, it's like, do you really want to be, just adding payroll again? I feel like for the Dodgers, they'd probably like to eventually get under that luxury tax line. So where could Carlos Correa end up going? I mean, there's a lot of fits for him. I think with Carlos Correa, I think he ends up with a surprise team. I think there's going to be a team that ends up jumping in, a team that we're not thinking of, a team that, we're not seeing in the reports. You've had this downtime now with the lockout where maybe these teams that, it gives these teams a chance to really assess what to do. In a way, this lockout can end up being a good thing for a lot of these teams where it gives them more time to think. And I wonder if this thinking time, it's going to get some teams out, more active in this market for Carlos Correa. What are some teams that could possibly use Carlos Correa? Well, let's go take a look here at the positional depth chart rankings on Fangraphs. But before I do get to it, let's just take a quick look at Carlos Correa. They're projecting 8 years, $240 million. I definitely think Correa, if he doesn't end up getting a 10-year deal, could there be, maybe like an 8-year deal and then maybe, you have some option years at the back end of it, something like that. Maybe, a couple of club options for the last 2 years or something like that. Or maybe some kind of a vesting option. I think whatever Carlos Correa ends up getting, I think there's definitely going to be probably a couple of parts of that contract where he can opt out. I could definitely see something like that. And I could definitely see something at the back end to where there's some options at the end. And then and incentives as well, because he's had the back problems according to reports. With Carlos Correa, you are going to be getting one of the better all-around players in the game. He's shown to be healthy in the last couple of years. Last year, over 148 games, hit 279, 26 homers, a 366 on base. A 485 slugging, a 134 WRC plus. He played great defense. To me, Carlos Correa, you're improving your team. Yeah, there was the whole trash can thing, so teams are a little weary about that. And that was another thing with the Yankees. Do you want to be adding someone like Carlos Correa where, hey, the Yankee players that are on that team that were still, that were with the team in 2017, Are they going to be okay with Carlos Correa? Oh, Jimmy Productions with a super chat. What's going on? Robbie, I just wanted to tell you the Yankees are my second favorite team and the Red Sox are my third favorite team. My favorite team are the Nationals. Hey, hopefully for the Nationals, Jimmy, hopefully they can have a quick turnaround. I think they still need to add more to that farm system. I think they need to set themselves up for the next couple of years. Get Juan Soto locked up immediately. Get that guy locked up as long as you can. Jimmy, thank you so much, my friend, for the super chat. So Carlos Correa, where could he end up? I think Carlos Correa, there's some options out there. One option could maybe you have possibly Bo Bichette move. Maybe you could have him move to a different position and you can bring in Carlos Correa to play shortstop. If we take a look at the Blue Jays as of right now, you just had Semien leave. Maybe you feel like Carlos Correa, you could bring him in to replace him. Come on, Fangraphs, load for me. Load for me. While that's loading, there's some other teams out there. You know, I don't think the Red Sox are going to end up getting Carlos Correa. I don't see it. I just don't. I think they're more willing to go like a shorter term deal or a cheaper option to address second base. I think there's definitely, you know, I still think the Mariners are a possibility. I know you got JP Crawford there. I'm not gonna count them out just yet. Again, the Angels, I still think they're a team to look out for. But there is one team here where I'm wondering. The Phillies. I wonder if the Phillies, the more I think about it, I wonder if they jump in. You know, Didi Gregorius had a bad season last year. They've already told him probably, you know, you're not guaranteed that shortstop job. So you got Bryson Stott as well. Me personally, I would like to see what Bryson Stott can do. I always love when you have a top prospect in your system. But to me, the Phillies, when you got a team, oh, super chat coming in. Jimmy Productions, Correa to the Twins or the Marlins. I don't see either, Jimmy. Unfortunately, I just don't think they're going to pony up that kind of money. I mean, I think it would be awesome if Correa went to a team like the Marlins, but I don't see that. And the Twins, they just never really seem to spend that kind of money. So I'm probably gonna sell on both of those. Jimmy Productions, thank you so much, my friend. But the Phillies I find intriguing, but you have to wonder, the Mets are making all these moves. You know, the Phillies are a win now team. They're in a position to go win. They have a squad. They have a team. I wonder, the Phillies, they could definitely use another bat in that lineup, I think. And if you have a bat to go alongside Bryce Harper in that lineup, someone like Carlos Correa, I think that could be huge. So I'm not going to count the Phillies out just yet. We'll have to wait and see on that. I think overall, you're going to have a surprise team jump in. You know, could the Giants? I don't think so. Just because they don't usually like to spend that kind of money. But I think honestly, and again, let me go back to the Blue Jays here. I think the Blue Jays, they're an option. I would not discount the Blue Jays here. I think maybe they're waiting in the back, kind of waiting to see what kind of happens. I mean, this is a Blue Jays team. They got talent on this team. And if you add someone like Carlos Correa, move Bo Bichette maybe to second base, you know, maybe even move him over to third, you know, something like that. You know, I think they could definitely add Carlos Correa. At least on paper, I think it works. So I'm not going to count out the Toronto Blue Jays as a possible team because, again, you're having all this time right now where you're getting a lot of thinking time right now. And maybe with the Blue Jays, you know, maybe a team like the Phillies, they're thinking, you know, he's out there. He's going to make our team better. Why not? And, you know, honestly, another thing with the Toronto Blue Jays as well, they got payroll. They got room. If they really wanted to, and if they added Carlos Correa $30 million per season, they're still going to have plenty of budget room to add even more guys. You've already added Kevin Gausman. So, and you're still only at $161 million. So Carlos Correa, you know, of $30 million per year, that puts you right at around $191. you still got around $20 million to spend. So I'm telling you, I wouldn't count out the Toronto Blue Jays. That's just my opinion for a team that could be a dark horse for Carlos Correa. So that's what I'm wondering. I think these teams that we're seeing, linked to him, I feel like the Cubs, I don't know. I think with the Cubs, there's not really, where are the Cubs here? If we take a look for the Cubs, where are you? Here it comes. So you got Nico Hoerner. The word is that, Nico Hoerner, he can go play other positions. He's versatile. So Carlos Correa could slide right into shortstop. I think with the Cubs, according to Ken Rosenthal today, hey, Ken Rosenthal, I know, people are not very happy with Rob Manfred right now because of Ken Rosenthal getting let go from MLB Network. What can you say about that? But Nico Hoerner, this is Jimmy Productions, Trevor Story, better option for the Phillies, cheaper. Yeah, absolutely. That could be an option as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But I definitely think the Phillies could add a shortstop. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I definitely think they could add him. To me personally, I think for the Phillies, I think Kyle Schwarber's the best option for them. I think they need a left-handed bat. If I were the Phillies, would I go after Carlos Correa? Probably not, because you have Bryson Stott, and you could go after a short-term option if you wanted to go that route. So, but, hey, it's Dave Dombrowski. Hey, he's gotten the big contracts done before. So, with the Chicago Cubs, with Carlos Correa, Nico Hoerner, he can play other positions. But Ken Rosenthal, he was saying today, he's wondering if the Cubs are if they're gonna go that long-term route for Carlos Correa, if they're gonna pony up those years. I don't think the Cubs. I think with the Cubs, yes, they added someone like Marcus Stroman, but I don't think they're gonna go crazy. I think if they could add Correa to where it makes sense to them, they'll do it. But they don't need to be so aggressive. You just sold off everyone. You just traded away everyone at the trade deadline. I don't think you need to go completely crazy. I think if they could get someone like Carlos Correa on the terms that they're comfortable with, they'll do it. But are they comfortable with going, 10 years? I don't know if the Cubs want to do that. Ken Rosenthal was saying today, I forget where he was talking today, but the Cubs, he was saying they're more inclined to go for shorter years, shorter year contracts. So we'll have to wait and see what the Cubs end up doing. But I definitely think there's going to be a team with Carlos Correa. I think we're going to end up seeing a surprise team. And I'm going to even count this team as a surprise team. The Houston Astros. I think the Houston Astros would be a surprise. I definitely wonder if maybe they just end up ponying up, an extra couple of years on that contract. Maybe they're just playing hardball and they're just waiting until they're going to let Correa. I think they're okay with Correa leaving, but I think if they could end up getting Correa back 7-8 years, they'll probably do it. But what do I know? I think the Houston Astros, to me, I think they would be a surprise team because you're hearing all of these things right now. You're hearing all these things right now with all these other teams like the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Yankees. And the Yankees, that's another one too. That's another one too right now with the Yankees. Could you go add Carlos Correa? I definitely think there is an option for that. Oh, super chat coming in. Jimmy Productions, weren't you going to make a Nationals video? Was I going to make a Nationals video? I don't know. Was I going to make a Nationals video? I can't remember. I got a couple coming out that I'm working on at the moment, but I don't remember a Nationals video. Huh. I don't remember that, Jimmy. I'll have to look back on my, I have like a list, like a Word document where I have all these ideas for videos. I'll have to go check that. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate the super chat. Oh yeah, was it the 2019 Nationals? Was I going to do a video on that? Oh yeah. Wow. I don't know what wow. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. I'm going to have to get back on that. Holy cow. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. I'm going to have to get to work on that one. Sorry about that. I completely forgot. My potato brain kicking in. So, anyway, I've rambled on about Carlos Correa enough, but let me just get this one last little point in. The Yankees, I think, are a team that makes sense for Correa. The question is, with the Yankees, this is what I think it comes down to with the Yankees. Do they want to give the money to Carlos Correa, or do they want to give the money to Aaron Judge? Now, I think Aaron Judge, this is going to be a big year for him, personally. He's going to get himself a contract next year. But I think this is a big year for Aaron Judge in terms of health. I think he needs to show that he's healthy. I think he needs to show that he is durable. He's had plenty of injury problems in the past. He had a full season last year, didn't really seem to have a lot of issues. But I think this is a big season for him. I think if he ends up missing a lot of time this year, I don't think the Yankees will bring him back. I think they'll move on. And so that comes into question here. Could you go after someone like Carlos Correa? Could you go after him? Because, we got another super chat coming in. You guys are going crazy with these super chats. Baseball Sports Talks, can you please make a How to Fix the Phillies 2? Love your first video on it. Yeah, I'll have to, I got to come out with, I'm going to be doing some MLB The Show rebuilds. So maybe the next time I'll do a Phillies rebuild. That video was fun to make. I did like making that one. So, Baseball Sports Talk, I appreciate that. Yeah, look out for maybe an MLB The Show rebuild. I'm working on a couple right now. So, I appreciate the super chat, my friend. But yeah, Aaron Judge, I'm wondering, hey, if he doesn't stay healthy this year, I don't know if the Yankees are going to want to keep going with him, So, that could be something. Carlos Correa, I know you got Anthony Volpe. I know you got Oswald Peraza. But at the end of the day, prospects are fun, but you don't know how they're going to be. The Yankees seem to be very confident in Volpe and Peraza. So the word on the street is the Yankees are more willing to go with a stopgap shortstop for right now, kind of just to pave the way for those guys. But to me, I know you got a couple of big contracts on here, but you do have some guys coming off the books. You have Chapman coming off the books. I would think they're going to move on from him. That's just my thinking. You got Britton coming off the books as well. Aaron Judge, if he ends up becoming a free agent, he would essentially come off the books too. Gary Sanchez, you got, and Joey Gallo, they got a lot of money coming off the books. Carlos Correa could make sense for them. To me, it depends on where do the Yankees want to give that money. Would they rather give it to Correa, or would they rather give it to Judge? Would they give it to both? Probably not. I don't know about that, because that's just a lot at that point. You'd have three guys. I don't know if Judge is going to get. I would probably think Judge gets $30 million per season, or he gets close to it. But with Correa, do you want to be giving Cole 36, Correa 30, and then Judge 30, or at least close to 30? That's a lot of money tied up to three guys. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that ends up happening. So, we'll have to wait and see. But Carlos Correa, I think he ends up with a surprise team. I think a team is going to jump out, and they're just going to emerge as a favorite for him. And I think he's going to end up signing some random team that we haven't even heard of, because right now it just doesn't seem like there's not really a sure fit for him. So we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with Carlos Correa. Let's move on here. Let's start getting into the season. Let's start getting into the actual 2022 Major League Baseball season. Jimmy Productions, another super chat. You should do predict NFL. Oh no, man, I cannot do NFL, man. I am not as fine-tuned with the NFL. That would just be, you're way better off going to check out some other football channels for that, my friend. I mean, I haven't even been keeping up with football all that much. I've been paying attention to the standings, but yeah, not too much of the football for me. Jimmy, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you, my friend. But let's move on to the season. This is a team that I think is going to be I think they're going to be a good team this year. I don't know. I'm feeling it. I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it right now. The Arizona Diamondbacks, they compete in 2022. I think they had a bad season last year, but you know what? I think this team is talented. If we go take a look at the Arizona Diamondbacks. So the Diamondbacks right now, let's go to the roster. So you got a good team. You got some guys here. You got Ketel Marte, obviously. If he can stay healthy, that's obviously one of the better bats in the game. Pavin Smith, you know, this is a guy who had a pretty solid rookie season. I think overall he put up some decent numbers. I think he has room to improve. And you got some guys, you know, Christian Walker, you know, first base, he's not a great offensive player. I still think there's time for the Diamondbacks to make some moves. So this offseason is not done for the Diamondbacks, but I do like some guys, and I like Dalton Varsho. I think this is a guy that absolutely could take a step forward. And also, we have some projections here for some for teams next year. Where are those projections? On Fangraph. Fangraphs actually talked, pretty highly of the Diamondbacks. I think they said that they don't see them making the playoffs, but they definitely think they're going to be a better team. So where are those projections? 2020. Is it these? No. Let me go back to the main page. Here we go. So yeah, look, you can actually go on Fangraphs right now, and they have a ton of projections. So whatever your team that you root for, go check it out. They haven't done all of them as of right now, but they're really chipping away at a lot of them. But for the Diamondbacks, they actually have some pretty decent projections for these guys. So if we take a look for Ketel Marte, if he is healthy, they have him having a pretty good season. 17 homers, 61 RBIs. Where's the batting average? Oh, come on, Fangraphs. You got to put the batting average here. Why do you have batting average on the advanced? I don't know. But they have him hitting 290, 348, 485 slugging. That's pretty good. They also see maybe Alek Thomas coming up, and that's another thing, too, I forgot to mention when I was looking at the lineup. You got some guys that are down in the minor leagues, and Alek Thomas, as of right now, he is pretty close. So if we actually pull up some other prospects here. Why are we not loading? Oh, you're killing me. All right, we'll have to go back to that. But so they have Alek Thomas coming up and maybe doing some damage. So they have him at a 1.7 WAR as of right now. With Nick Ahmed, if that ends up being the guy that you go with, at least you're gonna have a good glove at short. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Dalton Varsho, I think, could end up being all right. They have him right now with only a 319 on base, but they have him at an okay 433 slugging. So it's not the best, but with Varsho, they have him with 15 home runs, 48 RBIs. I think Varsho could even be like a 20-25 home run guy, maybe a few more RBIs in there. I think Varsho is a guy to keep an eye on for next year. But with the prospects, like I said, we talked about Alek Thomas. So Corbin Carroll, if he's healthy, this is a guy where he could really maybe rise through the system pretty quick. I feel like 2022 might be a bit too soon, but who knows? Maybe. Look at the numbers that he put up in 7 games last year at high A ball. Hit 435, 2 homers, had a 552 on base, a 913 slugging. This is a guy, maybe he could rise through their system really quick next year, and we could see something from him possibly. You got some, guys right now that they're projected more for AA at the moment. Ryan Nelson, Bryce Jarvis. But, and don't forget, you also have Geraldo Perdomo, where right now, what do they have him doing? Perdomo, they don't actually have him doing much as of right now. 225 average, 315 on base, 321 slug. But this is a guy, keep an eye out for him. He did pretty well last year. They don't see a lot more out of Pavin Smith. I think Pavin Smith can end up doing a little bit more. So to me, but with the Diamondbacks, I think the big question is the pitching. Zach Gallen, this is a guy, I really think Zach Gallen can take a step forward next year. Looking at the projections here for Gallen, so they have him next year. Again, I think these are very conservative projections. I think 25 starts, 135 innings. I think Gallen could end up getting more than that. So I have him at a 4.05 ERA, 4.14 FIP. Let's look at the advanced numbers. They have Gallen with 10 strikeouts per 9, right around 3 walks per 9. That's actually a pretty decent projection. But I think you could see more from this starting pitching staff. I think Madison Bumgarner could be a little better than what they're projecting him at, a 4.89 ERA. I think Bumgarner, could end up being all right. If we take a look at Bumgarner here, last year he had a 4.67 ERA. And then the FIP, it was a 4.63. So it was an improvement from his 2020 numbers. So I think you could actually see Bumgarner maybe even be a little bit better than this. So I think really what it comes down to, the starting pitching is going to be really important. And don't forget, Tyler Gilbert had a no-hitter last year. He could end up being something. So I think their starting pitching is actually not the worst. Maybe you could add another guy here. But I think the big thing is the bullpen. Mark Melancon, I really like that signing. I think that was a low-key, underrated signing for the Diamondbacks. He's a guy, he's going to bring some stability to this bullpen. So, and you got some younger guys here, where if they can just take a step forward, I really think this Diamondbacks team could end up being pretty good. The Dodgers, they're still going to be very good next year. And, but I don't, they lost Corey Seager, no Max Scherzer, what are the Dodgers going to be next year? The Giants, I think they're going to take a bit of a step back next year. I don't think we're going to see a 107-win team with the Giants. I still think they can be a pretty good team. The Padres, what are the Padres going to end up being? I think the Padres will be better next year, but how much better? We'll have to wait and see. I think the Diamondbacks, I think they have a big turnaround. I think they really do. There was also a stat last year that showed they got kind of unlucky with in a lot of games, and I think that their luck could turn around more, especially with some of these younger players. I think guys like Ketel Marte, if he stays healthy, get a little bit more out of the starting rotation, have that bullpen step up more. I think this Diamondbacks team could be a surprise team in 2022. But let me know what you think about that down below in the comments. Let's get to a couple other teams here. We got one team. They are the talk of the town. This offseason. And we have another team. They're always the talk of the town. They haven't done too much this offseason, but I'm going to call it right now. I think one New York team misses the playoffs. I think either the Mets miss or the Yankees miss. I'm not sure which one, but I'm going to predict one of the New York teams does not make the playoffs. Let's take a look here at both of these teams. So let's start off with my Yankees. Let's start off with them. As of right now, the Yankees, they're a good team. They have a good team on paper. I am not sure what is going on with my internet right now. It is just killing me. But with the Yankees, here we go. Obviously, you have a good team. But it just feels like the Yankees, there's just something missing from the team. It just feels like they're never quite there. What in the world is going on right now? This is not the Yankees. This is the Mets. What is happening right now? This is the Mets team, and I'm on the Yankees page. What in the world is going on? That just looked weird. I was seeing all the dark blue next to all those names, and I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? But the Yankees still have a pretty good offense on paper. It's a matter of they got to improve the base running. they really got to get some guys that can just hit for average. You know, if you look at the batting averages last year, you know, Judge had a good season, a great season last year, phenomenal season. But he had the highest batting average, and he had Stanton too, you know, but like batting average is just low. You know, Joey Gallo, what the heck is he going to hit next year? What is he going to hit? I have no idea. I mean, but he's going to hit some home runs. The Yankees, they tend to be more power happy, you know, but I mean, come on, you're not going to be doing anything with Gary Sanchez hitting 204. Ray Oz, just subscribe. What's going on, my friend? Nahawand, you left a super chat earlier. Hot take, A's announce relocation during the season. Ooh, could you imagine that? Oakland would, city of Oakland would not like that. Could you imagine that? But Nahawand, thank you, my friend. Very power happy Yankee team. Where would the Yankees, I think the question mark right now is the rotation. I don't know. Luis Severino, he could definitely come back and be your number 2. Absolutely could. But what is he going to give you health-wise? I don't know. Garrett Cole, I think he's going to be fine. You know, I think he's going to still be one of the better pitchers in the game. Jordan Montgomery, you know, I don't know. I mean, you know, he's projected as your number 2 right now, but I don't see Jordan Montgomery as a number 2. I could see him as like a 3 or a 4. I think the Yankees are a number 2 starting pitcher away from having just a good starting rotation. You know, you tried with Corey Kluber last year. That experiment didn't really work out. Bullpen, I still think is very talented. This bullpen, I still think is going to be very strong. Chapman, you know, what kind of a season are you going to get out of him? I think, you know, he always tends to have his ups and downs. So, but overall, I think the bullpen is really strong. I just wonder with this Yankees team, I just wonder if this stubbornness to add guys that can hit for some average, I wonder if that's going to come back and bite you. I still think they can bring back someone like Anthony Rizzo, but you know, I think right now the Yankees, they need just some more players that are going to give you just some legs, you know, guys that can just run. You know, that infield defense needs to be better. I think they need to add a shortstop. Could someone like, you know, Simmons out there, free agent shortstop, be an option for you where he's going to improve that defense for you? Their defense at shortstop was not good last season. They need to improve their defense up the middle. Aaron Hicks, to me, what the heck? To me, I think Aaron Hicks is one of the worst contracts in Major League Baseball right now. I hate that contract. I don't really hate the money per year. It's just the length. And this guy is just never healthy. He was playing in, was he playing in the Dominican League or where was he playing? I don't know where he was playing this past fall, but he wasn't hitting well there either. You know, Gleyber Torres, I mean, he was okay last season. You know, 331 on base is okay, but only a 366 slugging. I guess he's fine as your second baseman, but you need improvement at shortstop. I don't think Aaron Hicks is a center fielder. I'm worried about this Yankees offense and the defense a little bit. So I wonder if they end up falling just short. You know, I wonder about that. You know, I just feel like they're just missing some things. They have off-season, you know, still some off-season to play with whenever the lockout ends. I think they need to make a couple of moves. So as for the Mets, they have been the talk of the town, adding all the free agents. Max Scherzer to start things off. Mark Canha, Eduardo Escobar. Hey, I mean, Starling Marte, that was pretty good too. I like the Mets lineup. I would actually say right now, I think I actually like the Mets lineup overall, maybe a little better than the Yankees. I like the all-around. You know, I like how they have some guys that can hit for some power in Pete Alonso and Eduardo Escobar. They got some guys that can hit for average and can get on base. You got some speed in here with Starling Marte. You know, I really like the Mets lineup overall, and I like the versatility. You know, I think I like the Mets lineup better than the Yankees right now. The Yankees, they have a different lineup. It's apples and oranges. The Yankees, they're more power happy, where the Mets, I just like the all-around, you know, aspect of this Mets lineup. So with the Mets, I'm a little worried, surprisingly enough, about the starting pitching. I think it's a question mark. DeGrom, health risk. Scherzer, I think Scherzer is going to be fine, but, you know, he had the dead arm last year in the playoffs. You know, are we going to see any issues with that? Walker, bad second half last year. Carrasco, basically a lost season last year. what are you going to get out of the starting rotation as a whole? Are they going to be fully healthy? Are they going to be consistent for the whole year? Tyler McGill, he seems to be a hot guy out there for, guys like Jolly Olive. They love Tyler McGill. They think he could be a guy that can end up, being someone in the future for the Mets. Only 26 years old. How much of a step forward can he take? I think the potential is there for the Mets starting rotation, but health-wise, what is it going to be? I don't know. It's a question mark right now. I think the bullpen, I think they're lacking an arm. Aaron Loop, I think, was a tough loss. So I think if you can go out there in free agency and add someone, I think that is going to be huge. But I think with the Mets, we saw with the Mets coming into this season, the Mets were hyped. Fangraphs loved the Mets last year. They loved the Padres last year, and both teams missed the playoffs. So I think the Mets are better set up this year than they were last year because in the lineup, you have more versatility. So the only thing I worry about slightly with the Mets is there's not a lot of options down in the minor leagues if you wanted to call someone up. You do got someone like Vientos where, this is going to be a power hitting guy. He can give you some on base. AAA last year, he hit 278, 3 homers. So Mark Vientos is a guy that can help you. Brett Beatty, could he end up maybe contributing? Possibly. He went up to AA last year, hit 272, 5 homers. So they do have some guys in the minor leagues. I wonder how productive they could be. You traded for a guy last year in Khalil Lee. He played 11 games, only hit 0.56. So I don't know. What is he going to end up being? You don't have a lot of pitching. That's the one thing I worry about a little bit with the Mets in the minor league system. You don't have a lot of pitchers that you can really turn to at the moment. So another thing to consider with the Mets, J.D. Davis and Jeff McNeil and Dominic Smith. Can you trade these guys, maybe get some pitching? I think you got to get a pitcher. I think a lefty for the rotation, someone like Sean Manaea, maybe even someone like Mike Minor, something like that. The guys that can give you innings from with a lefty arm, I think that could be huge for the Mets. So Jeff McNeil, the talk of the town right now is that he, is trade bait. So could they get a trade together where you could send Jeff McNeil somewhere? We'll have to wait and see. But, I wonder if Jeff McNeil could end up being a bit of a fit for the Royals. If we take a look at the Kansas City Royals, I don't know what a trade would look like, but I guess you could. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. Nah, I take that back. I was thinking maybe you could put him at second, Whit Merrifield. You could put him in maybe like center field or something. Nah, probably not. I think there's a trade out there for Jeff McNeil, and I think he can get you a pitcher back. So, I don't know. But I think the Mets right now, they look better than they did last year. I just worry about the health overall for the whole season. And obviously, I'm leaving out a big one, Buck Showalter. I think that's going to be just a better guy that's going to keep your clubhouse. I think he's going to be a better glue guy for the clubhouse than someone like Luis Rojas was last year. I think just Showalter, he's just the right guy at the right time, and I think he's the best. He was the best option for this Mets team overall. So I'm predicting one more time. I'll say it one more time. I think one of the New York teams does not make the playoffs. So that's one of my bold predictions. Let's move on. Here we go. Let's get to number 5. That was number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Yeah, that was number 6. Number 5. Let's get into the top 5. We saw the American League wild card, the race, right at the end of the season. It went down to the last game of the season. You had the Red Sox. You had the Yankees. You had the Blue Jays. You had the Mariners. They were all gunning for a wild card spot. I think it is going to be even crazier this coming year. I see at least 6 teams gunning for an AL wildcard spot. We had 4 teams last year. 4 teams last year going for a wild card. I'm going to say right now, 6 teams are going to go for a wild card in the American League this year. Let's go take a look. Pulling up those wild card standings from last year. Again, you had 4 teams that finished within 2 games of a wild card spot. I think, and there's also the fact too that they might add, another team for the playoffs. So that could make my prediction maybe closer to reality at that point. But let's just say we're going off of right now the playoff seeding or the playoff setup as of right now. I think there's going to be some teams next year. You got a team like the Angels that are going to be better next year. Look out for the Guardians. I think the Guardians could end up being a pretty decent team next year. So look out for them. I mean, I think their pitching is going to be good. The offense, if they could add another bat somehow, I think that would be a really good option. Obviously, the Mariners are going to be better. I think the Blue Jays, they're going to be better. To me, I think the Blue Jays are one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. You got the Tigers. I mean, you got a lot of teams here. So I absolutely think we could see at least 6 teams in the mix. I think the Red Sox, Yankees will be in the mix, Absolutely. So right now, if I were to say, if I were to pick, mention all the teams, I said Red Sox, that's 1, Yankees 2, Blue Jays 3, Seattle 4. Oh, Chris Rodriguez has become a member. Chris Rodriguez. Oh, Chris Rodriguez is one of the OGs of the channel. Go way back to the beginning of the channel. I think I had maybe like 50 subscribers. Chris Rodriguez, you were one of the first, my friend. I appreciate you, my friend. Chris Rodriguez, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. I love you, my friend. Thank you. But again, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams that you could maybe make an argument that they maybe could make a run at a wild card spot. So I'm going to call it. I'm going to say at least 6 teams are in the mix for a wild card spot. So that would be very exciting. Now, let's move on to a couple of players here. So this is a guy, I think he's going to break out next year. I think he's going to break out in a big way in the American League. This is a highly touted guy for the last couple of years, and I think this season ends up being the year he puts it all together, and I think Luis Robert will finish at least top 3 in MVP voting. Luis Robert, if we go take a look at his numbers last year, let me pull up his Baseball Savant page, and let's pull him up on Fangraphs. Here we go. Alrighty, so Luis Robert, last year, I don't know if anyone noticed, but he had a pretty good season last year. I think he had a pretty good season. I mean, he only played 68 games. He was hurt a lot, but did you know he had a 157 WRC plus? Did you know he hit 338, had a 378 on base, a 567 slugging, 13 home runs? I mean, those are some pretty dandy numbers if you ask me. Sure, 68 games. Steamers next year, they're projecting him for 30 home runs to hit 285, 339 on base, 507 slugging. They always are more conservative with the projections. I think he goes off. I think it's going to happen. This guy, I think he's just ready to put it together. He's had a couple of years now. I think 3rd time is a charm. That first season, 56 games in that short season. Not quite what you thought it was going to be. 2021, had some health problems, but had good numbers. So, I'm thinking 2022, 3rd year is a charm. He puts it all together. Fully healthy season. Kind of like Shohei Ohtani, What was that? Well, let me go to Ohtani here. I believe, I picked the wrong one. Shohei. So, all right, this is 4th season. All right, 4th season. All right, well, yeah, okay. Well, no, he missed. He didn't pitch in a couple of these seasons. But what was the 3rd season that he was able to pitch? That's when he was able to win an MVP. So I'm thinking with Luis Robert, his third season, he's going to get it done. I mean, come on. Again, look at these numbers. These are really good numbers over 68 games. And let's go to his Baseball Savant page. Baseball Savant, he had some pretty good numbers on here as well. Max exit velocity, I believe he had a home run that might have been, was like 480 feet. Was that this year? I can't fully remember. The one thing with Luis Robert is, and also he projects well with his speed, and his outs above average, outfielder jump. So he does well there. The only thing I would like to see Luis Robert do to be even better is just to hit to all fields. All of his home runs were either, he had one to center field, but most of them he pulled. I would love to see some more opposite field power from Luis Robert. I mean, if you take a look at all the doubles as well, more pull. He had a few over to right field. But I think Luis Robert, to be more of a complete hitter, I think he needs to hit more to opposite field. I'm telling you, I think he puts it together. And I think Luis Robert finishes at least top 3 in the AL MVP voting. Let's move on to the National League. I think this is the year. That Juan Soto, he becomes the best player in Major League Baseball. Right now, I still feel like Mike Trout, he's hanging on to it. I feel like he's hanging on to it by a thread. But you know what? I think Soto just takes it this year. I think Juan Soto, he is going to have himself an absolutely ridiculous season. And you know what? Maybe I'll even go as bold to say he wins the MVP in 2022. Let's take a look here. Mr. Juan Soto. I'm ready for just the most ridiculous season ever from Juan Soto. I mean, this guy absolutely could have won MVP this past year. Let me actually pull up his baseball reference page. He finished third, right, in MVP voting? He finished second. So he finished second behind Bryce Harper. He led all of Major League Baseball with a 465 on base this past year, 29 home runs. I mean, come on, 145 walks. So I've actually seen a stat where I saw a prediction. I don't think it ends up getting to this point, where I saw a prediction out there where he walks in at least half of his at-bats. I don't see that. I don't see it. I don't know. I think that might be a bit of a stretch. I don't think that's going to happen. That would be ridiculous. But I still think you're going to see an incredible on-base numbers. I think this is the year he really just sets himself apart as the best player in the game. On Fangraphs, he is projected right now. Again, they are more conservative, but he is projected to be, at least according to the Steamer projections, he's projected to have the highest WAR next year. A full game ahead of a full win ahead of Mike Trout. They have Mike Trout at a 6.1, and Juan Soto, they have it at 7.2. So they have him projected for a 310 batting average, a 453 on base, a 586 slugging, an OPS over 1,000, 36 homers, 106 RBIs. I think this is the year. This is the year Juan Soto, he puts it all together, and he will be the new face of Major League Baseball. That's what I'm thinking. Let's go more into the playoffs. Let's talk about this team. I think you all might be familiar with this team. They did pretty good this past year. Not a great first half of the season, but they made a couple of trades by the deadline, turned around their season in the second half, and then they went on a run for the ages in the playoffs, and they were able to win their first World Series since 1995. The Atlanta Braves, I think they at least make it to the National League Championship Series. Am I predicting them to win the World Series? Not yet. No, I'm not calling it yet. There's still too much offseason to go. But I think the Atlanta Braves at least make it back to the Championship Series. This team, they are really set up well. They are set up very well. Let's actually go take a look at the Atlanta Braves. Taking a look. Here we go. Alrighty. So the Atlanta Braves. Now I wanted to say I wanted to put the prediction as they would be the back-to-back World Series champs for the first time since the Yankees in the year 2000. I didn't want to go that far just yet. There's too much offseason. But honestly, I think with the Atlanta Braves, I see a couple of people in the chat saying, not that bold of a prediction, pretty safe bet. But you know what? With all these other teams getting all of this hype, the Mets, obviously, people are still high on the Padres, maybe turning around this year. The Dodgers are obviously very good. There's a lot of competition in this National League where, the Cardinals are very good too. So I think for the Braves, I definitely think they can make it back to the championship series, and I think they can make it back to the World Series. And here's why. They have still a very young team. Austin Riley had himself an amazing season last year, and he's only about to be 25 years old. Ozzie Albies is still only 25 years old. Dansby Swanson, I still think is pretty darn solid, if you ask me. Marcell Ozuna had his issues last year, but you should be getting him back. And if they have the universal DH, Marcell Ozuna, you already saw what he could do in the designated hitter spot. He would be fantastic. So Christian Pache, young outfielder, I think he definitely could take a step forward this year, do something for this Atlanta Braves team. The Atlanta Braves, they have also just some young players in their farm system. If we go take a look, so obviously young players, but good young players down on that farm. So like I said, you have Pache, you got someone like Drew Waters, where he didn't quite have the season last year that you thought he was going to have. You do got Langoliers, you do have someone like Kyle Muller down there. Don't forget about Tucker Davidson. We saw an appearance last year in the World Series. But Tucker Davidson, this is a pretty good prospect to keep an eye out for. Last year, in 4 starts, he did pretty good, a 3.60 ERA, 20 innings. We saw him in the World Series. But Tucker Davidson can end up being a pretty solid piece for them. You got some other guys that are pretty close. What I like about the Atlanta Braves is they have depth. It's not just the talent on the major league team. They got guys that they can go down in the minor leagues and have them help. Even going to like someone like the number 12 prospect, Freddie Tarnok, where they're projecting him right now to be major league ready. He did pretty good last year in Double-A, 2.60 ERA. Like, you have guys down here that you can call up to the major leagues, whether or not, whether it's for a spot start or, or even just to help out the major league team long term. So you have options in the minor leagues, and I think that's a really underrated aspect of a winning team, is a team that can go down into the minor leagues, get quality talent from your farm system to help out the major league team. Because the major league team, I'm sorry, 162 games in a season, that's a long season. Teams like the Mets don't have that. They don't have that luxury. Teams like the Padres don't really have that luxury. When you're only counting on your major league guys, you're kind of playing with fire at that point. The Braves, they do. They could go down into AAA. They could go down into the Double-A and call some of these guys up, and they could end up getting some help. I think that's a big aspect. And I think the Braves, I think they're well set up for another run. I actually didn't pull up their starting pitching. Let me actually go back. And don't forget, Max Fried, I still think is really solid. Charlie Morton, veteran guy. If he can be healthy, obviously had a great season last year. Unfortunately, had to have the fracture, in the World Series there. But hopefully he's back and fully healthy. Ian Anderson's not even 24 years old yet. Noah, ended up having, he got injured last year, but he's not even 24 years old. Like I said, Tucker Davidson. Don't forget about Mike Soroka. I think this bullpen, hey, not bad. And most of all, Ron Acuna Jr. And yes, he had the ACL tear, but Ronald Acuna Jr. is still pretty good if you ask me. And I think if Ronald Acuna Jr. was fully healthy this year, I think he would have won the MVP. He was on a stupid pace last year. So the Braves, I'm telling you, I think they at least make it back to the National League Championship Series. I am that confident at this point to even say that, just because I just love how the team is set up and I love the minor league depth. So the Atlanta Braves, I think they're going to be very strong next year. Now, my number one bold prediction for all of you that have made it this far, we see 99 people still in the chat. My number one bold prediction is a team that did not make the playoffs in 2021 will reach the World Series. Now, there's a lot of teams that did not make the playoffs this past year that were pretty good. Let's actually go to those standings really quick. Taking a look at some teams that didn't make the playoffs last year. Right off the bat, I think Toronto. So the Toronto Blue Jays, I think they're a dangerous team. I really do. I think they're a very dangerous team. I'm not kidding. I really right now, they scare the crap out of me. That team is really good. That team is really good. I don't know if the Guardians really have a shot, but I think they have a good team, and they have minor league depth. Could they maybe make a run? That first year as the Cleveland Guardians? Maybe. I don't think it's out of the question. A World Series run? Not quite sure about that. And I think the big team here, the Seattle Mariners, Could the Mariners make a run? Could they go on some kind of just a legendary run to make it, this time to make it not just to the postseason, but to make it to a World Series? I still want, Seattle, they have kind of teased a little bit in the past where they've had some winning seasons and then they end up taking a step back. I think that's going to be a different case this time around. I think they're going to be a very strong team next year. I don't think they're done this offseason. I still think they need to make some moves, but I love the versatility of this lineup as of right now. I like the addition of Adam Frazier, but I like that it's versatile. You are going to get Kyle Lewis back as well, unless maybe they include him in some kind of a trade. I love the addition of Robbie Ray. I think that was a good addition. I still think you could use another starting pitcher. But I think Logan Gilbert, I'm telling you, Logan Gilbert, look out for Logan Gilbert. I think this is a guy, he could take a step forward next year and end up being your ace. I really think that. I still think they could use another starting pitcher in here. The bullpen, very solid. I think the Mariners are absolutely a team that could go crazy next year. And heck, even the Angels too. The Angels, they've made a couple of moves that I've liked. Maybe the Angels can go on some kind of a run. In the National League, I think the big one is the Mets. The Mets obviously are making all the moves. I mean, they definitely could go on a run. Absolutely they could. With the Central, I don't really know. Cincinnati, Cubs, probably not. I don't really see a World Series run in either of those teams. And also, I mean, I'll say a fun one here. Could the Marlins shock the world with some good starting pitching? Maybe another bat they can add to that lineup. Maybe the Marlins can shock the world next year. And for the West, the Padres. I think the Padres are that one team. A lot of people were picking them to win the World Series last year, and they didn't even make the playoffs. There's a lot of teams out here that did not make the playoffs last year, but they have a chance to make a run. So again, that is my final prediction. One more time, I'll pull it up for you in case you missed it. Yeah, I know, Tremont Productions. I don't think the Marlins are actually going to do it, but who knows? Maybe they can shock the world. Taking a look here, one more time, a team that didn't make the playoffs in 2021 will reach the World Series. That is my number one bold prediction. So let me go through these again. I think Trevor Story signs a one-year deal. I think Carlos Correa signs with a surprise team. I think the Diamondbacks end up competing. I'm not sure if they're going to win a wild card or not, but I think they're going to be a team that's in the mix. One of the New York teams does not make the playoffs. The wild card will once again be crazy, but this time at least 6 teams will be in the mix. Luis Robert finally emerges and he finishes top 3 in MVP voting. Juan Soto becomes the face of baseball. He ends up establishing himself as the best player. The Braves make it back to the National League Championship Series. And a team that did not make the playoffs last year will make the World Series. Everyone, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey tonight. I appreciate it. Still 92 people strong in the chat. Everyone, before I get out of here, please hit that like button. Also, again, if you did not see my interview with Foolish Baseball, yes, Foolish Baseball, I interviewed him. We had a conversation about baseball. So please, if you haven't watched it, go check it out. It's a great listen. You know, go cook some dinner. Go, I don't know, put together a puzzle. Go put some Legos together. Go, I don't know, go do something. Go walk the dog, go to the gym, and go listen to the conversation that we had. It was a really good one. So everyone, please go check it out. And again, leave a like for me if you can before we get out of here tonight. Everyone, have yourself a good night tonight. I'll try and be back with something tomorrow night. You know, hey, it's a little, ideas are a little hard to come by as of right now, but I'm not sure if I'll go live tomorrow. I would like to, so be on the lookout. But have yourself a good night, everyone. Have yourself a good day tomorrow, and I'll talk to you next time.